What's up, everybody? Welcome to TDY, Faith, Family, and Finance. For those that don't know me, my name is Winston, but you can call me Winnie. And I'm a couple things, man. I'm a family man. I'm a tech nerd. And I've been known to get a bucket or two. Yeah, I've been known to get a bucket or two in my Giannis's. And I said Giannis's, okay, because they're comfortable. They're very ergonomic. But most importantly, I am a follower of Jesus Christ. And I started this channel essentially because a couple years ago during the pandemic, I really started challenging myself to grow in these three areas, and faith, family, and finance. And I wanted to document that journey along the way. I haven't always been consistent with it on YouTube, but if you follow me on TikTok or if you follow me on Instagram or something like that, you literally would have seen the entire progression of my life so far. So I'm gonna start definitely prioritizing YouTube a little bit more. But yeah, man, enough about me. Let's jump into the topic for today. So like I mentioned earlier, we're gonna be talking about family therapy today. And this is a topic that really gets no love. I feel like nobody really talks about it, especially in Christendom. And I think it's because we like to put Jesus glitter on a couple things without necessarily working or putting any effort into changing them. Like we just say things without necessarily like affecting change, and we don't really want to be transformed. We just want to pretend. But we're not doing that today, right? Like we just gonna jump into family therapy. Family therapy really is just a subset of psychotherapy, and the idea behind that is we're trying to improve our family relations and dynamics through talking. Now, everybody has a different definition for family, but in the context of this video, so we're all on the same page, we're just going to define family as a group of people that love each other very much and might be related. So I know I probably don't have to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I probably have to say it. But family therapy, like any other form of therapy, should probably be done by a licensed professional. Therapy is therapy. Like playing that video game is not therapy. Like having sex is not therapy. Playing with that pet is not therapy. Like therapy is therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like talking through your problems, unearthing your trauma, and then figuring out healthy ways to cope with them. That's therapy. So there are a few different forms of family therapy. I'm going to talk about the three more popular ones that I've seen so far. But the type that you get is really going to depend on your family size, your family need, and what you're going through in your use case. So the first one is functional family therapy. This is typically used to address at-risk youth or troubled youth. And this is a really popular one that I've seen. There's actually government programs that are designed specifically around this because of the effectiveness and the value that it provides. It focuses on exploring the family dynamics that have contributed to the child's behavior. A main emphasis of this type is to avoid negativity and blaming at all, because you want to always positively reinforce. I loved learning about this because I don't know about y'all, but I grew up in a household that was like anything that went wrong, somebody had to be blamed for. Like it was somebody's fault. And I love learning about this because it shows that you can address negative outcomes or negative behaviors without necessarily pointing a finger and making people defensive. So the next one is couples therapy or like marriage counseling, for example. Now, this one is near and dear to my heart. I'll keep it a buck with you. I think that you should not get married unless you have gone through some sort of premarital counseling. If you really, really think about it, even after you get married, you should probably have to go back like every 2 to 5 years to get recertified or something. I don't know. If I was president, I would make that a rule because I feel like a marriage is like a car. Like it's a tool. It can do a lot of good. It can get you from A to C, right? And if you don't know how to operate it properly, it can also do a lot of harm. If you know how to operate it properly with the right techniques and the tools, it can do a lot of good. That's why I really, really feel like you need some sort of marriage counseling or some sort of couples therapy or counseling to make sure that you are equipped with the right tools and techniques to handle it. Think about what a relationship really is at the end of the day, right? It's two imperfect people coming together and committing to deal with each other for life. Do you really want to do that without the proper technique and the proper mechanisms? You probably don't, because then it will end badly. Couples therapy, top tier. The last form of family therapy that I'm going to talk about in this video is structural family therapy. This one is a little bit interesting too. This one examines the hierarchies and the relationships within families. and how they've been structured, essentially. The main premise behind this form of therapy is that most conflicts arise from somebody deviating from a role that they play in the family unit. And while I believe that this is inevitable because we're going to grow and we're going to grow out of the roles that we played in our family as we build new families, it really, really is important to at least examine them so that you know how to address it moving forward. Specifically, this form of counseling is going to allow the family to explain themselves, right? Like, you're going to learn why and how that person shifted from that role, and if it's possible for them to retake that role. And if it's not, that might be a hard pill to swallow, but it's really important on both ends, whether you're the one leaving that role or you're the one that is feeling the effects of somebody leaving that role. You have to lead with empathy. You have to lead with compassion. It's extremely important to set healthy boundaries. I believe that this form of therapy allows you to set the most healthy boundaries because every family unit has a family hierarchy, has a family structure that they are accustomed to. If you don't believe me, see how it is when you get around your family. See how it is when you get around your siblings. Y'all typically end up reverting to how things were in an old time. And it doesn't matter if you're 45 now, right? Or 25, you're likely going to revert back to how things were when you were all together. That's why boys go crazy like when they get to with their college buddies, right? Or girls go crazy when they get with their sorority sisters. Like this dynamic of reverting like past action in a familiar setting, it happens. Okay, cool. So now that you know the different types of family relationships, I think that it's important to talk about when to get into them. And I always tell people to treat your relationships, but particularly your family relationships, like a plant. You should always prioritize mutually beneficial relationships because relationships should be mutually beneficial. For example, you provide carbon dioxide, they provide you oxygen. I'm not saying that all your relationships should be mutually beneficial because sometimes you don't have a choice. What I am saying is that you should be navigating your relationships in a way that you're trying to achieve that healthy equilibrium of mutual benefit. Even as you strive to achieve this equilibrium and you start prioritizing the relationships that are very mutually beneficial, I do want to add this caveat in there that even though you might not think that a relationship is benefiting you, it might be. I can tell you right now that some of the toughest and most taxing relationships that I've been in have taught me the most. I've learned delayed gratification. I've learned patience. I've learned how to communicate more effectively through a lot of these relationships that took a lot out of me. And while at the time it felt really awful and it felt really, really annoying, looking back now, like they always say, hindsight is 2020, right? Looking back now, I learned a lot and I'm grateful for those relationships. It really just goes to show that if you water a relationship and you take care of it, you put it in the environment that's conducive for it to grow, that it can thrive and it can really produce sustenance for other people. Conversely, if you don't take care of it at all, it will shrivel up and it will die. And at that point, you're going to be left with a pile of crumbs in your hand that you're going to have to dispose. That being said, my advice is to go to therapy and go to family therapy specifically before you think you need it. Just like any well-oiled machine, your relationships are going to require regular tune-ups. They're going to require check-ins to make sure everything is running smooth. And if you are lucky enough to have very low maintenance people in your lives, count your blessings, you know what I'm saying? And still make sure to prioritize those relationships and reach out and water them, essentially. All right, so I figured I'd switch it up for this last one. So instead of telling you how to do family therapy, I'm going to tell you how to not do family therapy. So first things first, don't go in there thinking of it as an expense, like, because you're already going to be mad that you're spending money, right? Like, think of it as an investment. And this really helps to frame it too in your mind, because some relationships are worth investing in, others aren't. So choose wisely. The second thing is to not go in there just trying to get your point off. If you don't go in there with an open mind, yeah, you'll hear everything, but you won't listen to anything and no changes will actually be made. The third thing that you really want to make sure that you do not do is you don't want to go in there without doing your pre-work. Imagine it's like you're a rapper and you save up all your money to get some studio time with like Kanye West or something like that before, he started bugging out. Like, you're not about to go in there and start freestyling. Like, you're not Jay-Z. Like, you would have spent time to write this stuff out, right? So you knew exactly what you were going to do. So do that. You're spending all this money, or well, hopefully you're not spending that much money, but you're spending money to get a licensed professional to talk you through a lot of these issues that you're experiencing. The last thing that you want to do is go in there and start freestyling things, right? I typically recommend keeping a journal throughout the week, right? And just write down what has happened, write down how you felt about it, so you can bring it up and talk about it and you don't forget anything. And then in the same sense, you want to make sure you're taking notes throughout the sessions as well, because they're going to give you homework or, post work or whatever. And you want to make sure you jot that down so you don't forget it. And then the last one is to not go in there with a defined timeline in your mind. How it take you 24 years to get to this point, but you think you about to get out of here in 3.5 weeks. Like, come on, fam. That don't make sense. So don't go in there looking at timelines. Look at outcomes instead. Like, look at feelings. Like, if you can say, I want to understand why I feel this way instead of I want to do this for 4 weeks, right? Like, that's really going to help position you to be successful when you're going through therapy. All right, y'all, that's all I got for y'all today. If you stuck around this far, I'm proud of you, honestly, and I'm sure your future self will be as well. But I really want to challenge y'all to take this a step further. So what I did was I went on Google and I searched up some resources and I put them all in the description. So go ahead and, read through some of those and look through some of them. Literally no affiliation. I just searched on Google, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little boost, right? Like, get you a little bit closer to where you got to be by doing some of the legwork for you. But yeah, man, that's all for today. I'm proud of you guys. Thanks for growing with me. We'll catch you guys later. Until next time, peace.